you. I'd like to now recognize Ms. Houchin from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the witnesses for being here to testify before us today. I'm especially interested in the testimony provided by Dr. Goldfarb on the impact you've seen at medical schools. As you probably know or may know, Indiana University in my state has the largest medical school in the country. This issue is particularly close to home for me. Dr. Goldfarb, you describe how DEI has caused medical schools to focus on political advocacy instead of healthcare outcomes. Are there specific examples you could give us from your time at UPenn that illustrates that point?
So I'm now out of UPenn for several years, and so I can't really speak to exactly what's going on there, but what we've seen is just around the nation, increasingly detailed kinds of programs, courses in advocacy, for example. I mean, this is one of my favorite topics, is training physicians to be advocates for all of these political activities. And there's no question that the point of this is to create individuals who use the authoritative aspects of being physicians to argue for political causes and political approaches. And our organization has gathered lists, and I have lists here that I can provide you, of multiple kinds of examples of courses, seminars, letters in applications that require students to explain how they're going to implement these kinds of political activities in their careers as medical students and then as physicians.
So I want to focus on a little bit of your comments. You said what had been a traditional approach focused on clinical science and aimed at developing medical leaders was being readied for transformation into a far greater emphasis on community involvement and concern for social issues. You have said that American academic medical centers have been the engines of advances in the treatment and cures of diseases. What will this new emphasis on social issues do to research and science in the treatment and cures of diseases?
Yeah, I think one of the most peculiar and really unfortunate developments in all this has been the idea that diversity in research labs is a requirement for successful performance of scientific research. And this is just absurd, really. What we need in the scientific laboratories are the most qualified, the most creative, the most talented individuals, and it's an incredibly competitive area. The NIH funds something on the order of 15% of the investigator-initiated grants. And to say that labs need to then demonstrate that they're diverse is without real merit, without evidence that that will do anything to improve the scientific quality, and much more likely to reduce the scientific quality because the expenditure of energy, funds, and time in order to create some sort of diverse environment in the laboratory.
Thank you. And a couple of things I want to note, too. You've said medical schools around the country are adopting an approach that seems to echo the curricula of schools of social work. And in the K-12 education, in the judiciary, all of these places, we are really, and including in medical academia, we're really trending into an area where, in your own words, physicians have not the agency to address some of these issues. We see social and emotional learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion, critical race theory. You wrote a significant op-ed, Take 2 Aspirin and Call Me by My Pronouns, and that has turned to some calling you an activist. When you were in medical school, did you ever think you would be considering yourself an activist for advocating for things like rigor in science?
No, this has been surprising to me and certainly to my family and my friends that I've ended up doing this. But, you know, as I said in my testimony, I really care deeply about medicine and about medical care and about the care patients received. I think in my career I've thought it to be a wonderful experience, and patients were treated wonderfully, irrespective of what they look like. And my great concern is that that's going to change. That's starting to change now, and that's really why I've decided to pursue this course.
And you note finally, too, that there are concerns that you share that this type of political and philosophical theory really will drive division and poison the American experience. And you quote Ibram Kendi saying, Past discrimination can only be remedied by present discrimination. Present discrimination can only be remedied by future discrimination. I don't want to see us in a world where we are driven by discrimination, and that unfortunately feels like that's the direction the left wants to take us. Mr. Chairman, with that, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like now to recognize my friend from New York.